Hello, thank you to our wonderful Patreon members. This is a much requested bonus feature on things you can do for plantar fasciitis and just more importantly, some stretches and exercises that I like for the bottom of your foot and for your foot health in general. There are lots of things out there. Here are just a few. I'm going to start with just the classic toe stretch. So, getting your feet underneath you, your toes underneath you, and just starting with your hands. Hi, Pigeon. Starting with your hands and knees down, and then sitting your hips back towards your heels. Pigeon, people can't see. And then you might stay here, or you might come up, finding wherever it feels right for you. As you move, be careful to not just let your heels scoot out and for the stress mainly to go to the outside of your little toe, keeping your heels pointed up. You can sometimes put a ball or something between your heels to keep your heels in. And wherever you land, at least 5 deep breaths. When you do this on your own, take as much time as you need. You can also just do this 1 foot at a time. So I can leave 1 foot out and find a position with my foot, because sometimes our feet are just drastically different and the level and where you want to sit is very different. So just having 1 foot at a time can be a nice option. So I'm going to just give my toes a little break. The next one is a more active movement and isn't designed to necessarily get as intense, but to give you a little engagement. So from hands and knees, tucking my toes again, but now I'm going to lift my knees and I can sort of rock back and forth with the heels, keeping my knees close to the ground. And when I bring my knees forward, I'm pressing into my toes using the muscles of the bottom of your feet, bring my knees forward and get up on my tips of my toes, and then I sink the balls of my feet towards the ground, heels go back, knees go back. So rocking forward and back. Using the bottom of my foot hinging in that big toe to get the movement. Pigeon, I'm sorry, everyone needs to, here we go. So another really useful thing you can do is just sitting with your feet on the floor. It's some toe lifts. It's working sort of the opposite direction. Instead of really overworking the sole of your foot and the muscles and the fascia in here, getting the tops of your feet, the extension to work. So we can simply start with lifting the toes and really spreading the toes and trying to spread the little toe, but also spreading in the middle toes and the big toes, lifting and spreading, putting your toes back down, lifting and spreading. And I like to sometimes give a little reminder to all my toes to see if I can feel if they're engaged. You might do this 3 to 8 times, doesn't have to be a lot. And then you can move on to doing one sort of splitting big toes and little toes. So lifting just the big toe and down, just the big toe, keeping the other toes down. And then lifting just the little toes, so keeping the big toe down, lifting the 4 little toes. And then if you're feeling particularly brave, this one's hard for me, but you can pick up the big toe and then really press the big toe out. And for me to get this to work, I need to put my finger on the outside of my big toe and I press in, I give it some resistance, and then my toe can resist my finger and press out towards the midline of my body, away from the little toes. And I would do the other side. So those are the 3 sitting things to do, and now I'm going to move to standing. So standing, and I'm holding on to my bookshelf for balance, I'm going to take one foot, I'm going to lift the heel and move through that plantar stretch through the big toe, and then I'm going to come up onto my tiptoe and then roll over and stretch the other side of my foot. I think this is just as neglected. So just a nice slow roll so that I'm rolling through each joint. Pressing, rolling slowly, slowly flipping. As you do this, just move slow and carefully, feel a stretch, but not too much, of course, not trying to strain or hurt yourself. And it's just important that we're not just flipping and flopping and moving from the hip. And then self-massage is a really great option that you can do throughout the day for the bottoms of your feet. I've got 3 different balls here. You could have other things. Tennis balls are also great options. Hi, Pigeon. Tennis balls are really good. You might find other things in your house. This is a lacrosse ball, and these are 2 massage balls specifically for feet and other areas, but that's what they're bought for, as opposed to this, which is just from Dick's Sporting Goods. So when rolling your feet, you can go back and forth. You can find areas on the side, roll and wiggle around, find an area that feels particularly tender, particularly tight. When you find that area, spend a little time just giving it a little gentle pressure, seeing if you can get those muscles to release a little, let go of their tension. One of the things with a smaller ball is that you can work a little bit more side to side, anchoring the heel. And with a squishy ball, you can really give a little weight into it. The ball starts to deform, and you can kind of roll in, and it has a tendency to not run away from you as much. And you can do some of your toe movements as well. There we go. Lots of other options, but I hope this gives you something to explore.